All right, everyone. Uh, this is story time, technically. So I had to go through this and figure out what I had. I actually have an extra 2003 product catalog, the color catalog, and I went through a distributor at the time. This is Lightning Audio's peak, and I think Scott Dealey, who was half of Lightning Audio, was here locally. At the time, they had the warehouse over in Gilbert, over on Gilbert and Guadalupe, or Guadalupe and the railroad tracks in Gilbert, just east of Country Club, which is Highway 87. Anyways, it was local to me, and but this is the year 2002, 2003 is when they also came out with the Lightning Audio Storm series stuff. So this was a big collaboration because not only was it from Larry Van Sickle, who was probably coordinating overseas, but it was also, I'd love to, I actually have we got a container to unload tomorrow, and so I'll talk to Larry about this as well. But, and then I assume that's where he was, because I don't think Edge was fully developed the way that it is now. But they were doing a lot of product, and so that was part of the deal, was that Larry took his, from what I know, I don't know for sure, he took his payment, and of course this is good for taxes. Instead of taking it personally, it's like you just buy part of a factory over in China. And so that factory in China was the one that was producing for Rockford. And so this is Rockford's version of Lightning Audio. So that's what their, their engineers, their, of course everything was made in China, but it was Rockford's transition to Asia and what can be done over there. And they used Lightning as a test bed and sort of a guinea pig in order to, eventually what they've done is moved manufacturing completely over there to Asia. So this is also the time that they came out with the Fast and the Furious plug-in promotion for the movie, and they dropped the ball on that one. They really could have produced some top-notch equipment, and they went soft, and I think that was a huge mistake. And of course, looking back now, and it was. So, and I want to talk to Larry about that as well. Larry Van Sickle, not Larry F. I think Larry F was off, I think, with Phoenix Gold at the time. So, but, all right, so let's begin. So this is the full product line for the 2002 Lightning Audio. And this, of course, is 2 full years after the acquisition of Rockford Corporation acquiring Lightning Audio from Scott Dealey and Larry Van Sickle, in which I worked. Oh, that glare is terrible. Shit, sorry. Let me get this a little bit better. Just the Bolt series. These are the modular ones, and the way that they were the first ones to do this, which was kind of novel, was to add stuff later, which are add-ons. And see, they also did the capacitor. There it is, and then they also did a voltmeter. And the reason for these was to make more money. Instead of giving you everything up front, it was a way to just, again, sort of nickel and dime you. So, but these are the Bolt series, and then these also translated to like the P1 series over at Rockford, that's when they started making stuff overseas, and not everything translated directly over to Rockford. It was like mixed in between. But if you look at the models, you can see, you go, oh yeah, I see that. That's that's a different version of the Rockford sub, and blah blah blah. So this is the first year they came up with the Storm series. That I think I don't have the 2001 product line catalog, but I think I remember Tilo talking about this back then. And this is the X1 series, where it came fully assembled. And so the cost on that was a little bit more expensive. And I think it only came in, dual 2. And that was with the aluminum cone. And the big fat surround that everybody likes. So just some Bolt series coaxials. Those definitely translated over to like what is now probably the Prime series. And some coaxials and stuff like that they were just importing. At the same time, I think Larry was also sidelining the West Coast Customs deal. And maybe I think he was doing Diamond Audio. I would love to know that timeline. So, because this looks very similar to the West Coast Custom stuff that he did for them. So, and that was, of course, you know, you come out with their line. Of course, they don't make any money on it, but it's good for promotion, and it's free money for them because it's just super promotion, right? The promotional power, like if you take the money that you would normally pay for like a full color ad in like a car audio magazine, it's like say 50 grand to 100 grand. And so instead of paying for that, you put it in the product and then bring product to market and things like that. So I like the Storm series, although I didn't really care for the ends because I like that they were short, so you didn't really need the 90-degree ones, but they were really nice. And of course, other stuff translated over to I think the Rockford Matrix series, the White Wolf, and some other stuff that they were importing at the time. Helping them, and of course Edge was supplying all of them. Again, if you guys don't know, Edge is the Edge Global Holdings is the it's not the parent, it's the dedicated sourcing company for Recoil, and at the time they were also supplying a lot of this stuff for Rockford via Transition Time. For the Lightning Audio brand, they used to sell the signal cable on its own, which is kind of cool. And let's see what else. Oh, this is when they came out with the square wire, which was supposed to be flat wire, but it didn't turn out right. Again, I want to show you old pictures of X Scorpion. X Scorpion was the only one that did it that I liked, and I thought it was a really great idea. It's just X Scorpion has bad execution, and so it just looked, you know, cheap. Which is X Scorpion. But X Scorpion, what they did was they like, you know, like lamp cord has like a little, it's, I don't know what the word, it's molded with a break in it so you can pull it apart. And X Scorpion did AAA gauge that way. So, and then they had the regular power wire in those different colors. And what they did for this series was just make it translucent. And then they processed at the same time all the Rockford wire, which was the same oxygen free copper, and then it was nickel plated. So that was the whole thing about at that time when they were importing. I liked the pants too. Sorry, focus, come on, there we go. The Y block, let's see if they have metal one. I like the metal ones. I don't think they have there's the Strike Series pants, which is just a little boot that covers. See, because when you dig those apart, that twisted pair apart, it looks messy because you have to dig at it with some cutters. And so to cover that ugliness, they made it like a little boot, and they would sell the pants on their own. And I think I showed you earlier, they would sell the RCAs, the Bolt. It was only under the Bolt series, even though that's a really top end. They should have sold that under the Strike series, or even the Storm series. But maybe they did that the next year. And all it is just different colors and you know, maybe a different look. So this is the Strike things. Then of course, I hope this looks familiar because basically Recoil is making these same kits, but just in different colors. So, and there's a lot of things that are very similar. Of course, this was still OFC nickel plated. I don't think they got into the aluminum until later, but Rockford was all about copper. And at the time, it was still pretty expensive, at least for dealers. And so there's the square thing, and it uses like shark teeth to grab onto the wire, and it was kind of cool looking. I actually had some left over that I used when I ran my jumper from my panel meter to the warehouse in the back, so that I could bypass the back meter, because they were charging me commercial rates for that fucking meter, and I was like, no thanks. What I didn't realize though at the time was I was getting 2 bills, and so it was a little nicer on the wallet. Now I get one big bill all at once. But it's like $100 cheaper at least, so it was worth that just in the fees, because the fees alone were like $60 a month per meter. It's crazy. So, but they got a monopoly and they let them abuse it. So those are the battery terminals with the teeth, the shark teeth. They call it SQ squared or whatever, so because it was square wire. And of course, it's just a gimmick. And then this is the modular. Larry, or I should say Recoil, they're guys at Recoil, still use this modular system where you have an insert to fill in the gap to do the negative, and then you remove it for the positive. And I think one of the versions actually used 2 different rings. Oh, that was the older ones from '99 when I worked there. So, of course, you've seen that before. I talked about that before. Orion imported that. A bunch of other people imported that. So the GM side post converter. It also moved it away. Sometimes it's good to move it away from the... I don't know why GM does that. GM puts the positive terminal near the chassis. Don't do that. God damn it. Put the positive terminal away from it, you know? Like, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It also has to make your ground longer, which costs more to manufacture the ground. So, and then, of course, the Bolt series, which was in gold. The Storm is a matte nickel finish. And then the Strike was a matte nickel finish as well. I think later, yeah, the Strike series, they went with a chrome, which is basically just a polished nickel finish. It uses, these are brass, and then there's like 2 layers of copper, or at least 1 layer of copper, and then they do something else to put the final finish on it. So, and then fuses, you guys have seen all that. One of the things I liked at the time was they were the first one to come out with big, heavy duty, you know, like 8 gauge, 4 gauge, nickel plated. Everybody had gold, and of course it's not real gold, it's just fake, but still, it's like, I just thought the nickel looked better, and it went with more stuff, because gold is good with the right stuff, but with not the right stuff, it looks shitty. So, but this is when they came out with the super caps. This is the 50 farad, and then there was the 100 farad, and I've owned a couple of those, and then of course Rockford had their version. And then, of course, the original caps, but they're all being made, I don't know if, they were probably being made all overseas now. I really liked that thing, and I can't remember where I put them, but I liked it because it was a 0 in and then 4 gauge out, or like 2 4s and 2 8s, and it sat right on top of the thing, and then you could actually use a bus bar system. I'm not seeing the bus bars, and you could link others together. It was great. So, but they had a Strike version, and then that one. That one was by far the most expensive, because I think dealer cost on it was like $50, and then they were supposed to sell it for $100. It's like, god damn. So yeah, and I used some of those as the like, instead of getting 0 gauge, because the price for 0 gauge aluminum power wire was like 3 times the price. So instead, what I did was I took 4 gauge. This is my jumper, 4 gauge, and ran it and doubled it up, and so it works fine. But that's what those I used, so I have a little bit of those. And of course, they came out with the Rockford version as well. Here's some of the blocks for the jumpers and the caps, and they also act as distribution blocks. Really nice metal clamping things for the caps. The terminal screws, I have a ton of those, by the way, if you ever need any. I think it says they're standard, but I checked them the other day, and see, there's I call them platinum, but it's really just nickel plated. I think they're metric. I want to double check them. And then, of course, the batteries. Now, back in the day in 99, I think it was 98 and 99, Lightning was the first one to secure those batteries. It was this one and then this one. And the only difference was that this one had like a voltmeter on top that was built in, and you'd hit the button and you could tell what the voltage was on it. And those are one of the first AGM batteries on the market. And they sold a ton of them overseas. We packed a lot of pallets that went to Saudi Arabia and Japan, because the lowrider dudes in Japan. And they liked them because they were really high quality, really heavy duty, and they didn't spill. You could mount them upside down. And that really boosted their sales because they had an exclusive agreement on that, and I think for 2 or 3 years. And so that, otherwise, the only people that had the battery were, I think, was General Dynamics at the time, which, if you guys don't know, was, is, I think, was, yeah, because, God damn it, I can't remember now. They acquired a huge portion of Motorola, which my mother-in-law worked for, and they make military equipment. And if you look it up, the 80s was big, like their peak in Reagan money for. They made submarines and ships, and but they used this battery on like the F-16 and things like that. It's not that it was special, it was just because it could take a bullet and not spill and wreck the rest of the equipment, which was, you know, really important. But if it could take a bullet and short out or whatever, and it wouldn't spill. But there's the old isolators that is basically this isolator, but with a heat sink. That's all that was back then. And that's the 80 amp, which Recoil still sells. And then that's a 200 amp. And then now they have a 500 amp that Recoil imports. That's the Deadskin, which was, who is it? It was an outside vendor that was supplying Lightning Audio. And then they ended up supplying Rockford after they bought them as well. I liked this version. This one is just an aerosol version. This one you would put in a sprayer or paint it on. And then they also sold it by the bucket, which was the other one. They sell the Deadskin application gun and some other stuff associated with that, which it's not a lot of money, but it's easy sales, especially when you make it part of it. You go, hey, if you order, you know, $2,000 worth of shit, then we'll throw this in and stuff like that. So, and it seems that, what do they call it? A perceived value, because, you know, you overcharge for the gun, like, you know, $300, which is actually cheap, because sometimes if you buy it at a specialty place, it's like $800. And so it's one of those things. It's dumb. But once you find the sources of where they get them from, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe everybody's been overcharging, even your favorite domestic brands. The elongated squirrel cage fans, those are really good. And then, of course, the regular stuff that Edge is known for, their own version of base blockers. And then they also, see, it even has the Install Edge, which they came out with, was a separate brand just for accessories, and that was all Edge as well. And then it was all 3M stuff. It was all like quality and all of this kind of other stuff. And they were able to, because I think they also made for 3M at the time. I don't know, something. Again, I would love to talk to the guys. This beanie. And then what is this? Tattoos? What is this? It's just a decal. It'd be great if they gave you like, you know, lick and stick fucking tattoos and shit. And, you know, Rockford's all about the merch. So it's a lot of fun stuff at the time. Remember those ringers? Yeah, nobody wears those anymore. I thought those were underwear for a second, but that's not. Ooh, a tank top for the girls, the black spaghetti strap. Keychain. Small toolbox, the wallet. I didn't have the wallet, but a lot of the guys that I worked with did. I had a flashlight, keychain. Hold on, let me get Sissy some food. So that's my 14-year-old schnauzer. So, but and then the razor knife, and then they also had a tire gauge, so for pressure. And then real quick, I'll do okay. So this is, they did it separate. This was for the amps and the subs. I don't really give a shit about the Bolt series and the Strike series. I really just care about the Storm series. So let's see if we can get this to focus. Storm 400.2 full range. That is dealer cost. Very expensive. And then US MAP, which is minimum advertised price, meaning that the dealer cannot advertise any price lower than that. It's not saying the dealer can't go below that, but the dealer is not allowed to advertise anything lower than that, as per the agreement. So then, of course, they had the 1000, which this is expensive, man, $300 for a little Class D amp that cost them, you know, $50 to $100. The 1500, and of course, these are all checked out. And I would love to know when Tony Baloney was doing his work over at Rockford, and what products he did have a say in, and what he would do. You guys should talk to him, ask him. So, because I doubt he'll respond to me in a very civil way. So, because he's kind of butthurt about my criticisms, which I'm whatever. Go fuck yourself, Tony. You're not that important. I mean, you did important work, but you just fucking, you know, you just kind of short yourself trying to whore out the brand. So, but let's see. Strike series, $40 for a 10. They made, what is it? Oh, they made single 4 ohm, single 8 ohm, 48 for the 12, and then 64 for the 15. Those were pretty good. And then the Strike VC2 was a dual VC, and then I think they also used a cast frame. Yeah, those were good as well. Looks like 3-inch 4 layer, but the motor was a little on the small side. So it wasn't totally powerful, but it was all right. It was good. So, but 80 and 100 and 120 for the 15. Then here's the Storm ones. This is the dealer cost. This is the one you guys like right there, 312. Quite a bit, and then you couldn't advertise it for any less than $600. But typically, they would sell them for 800 or even 1,000. So, according to legend, the 12 was 337, and then 375 for the 15. So that's what I really wanted to show you guys. The rest of the stuff is just kind of bullshit. They also, well, let me show you real quick that last one. The Strike convertibles. The convertibles, nobody really sells a convertible anymore. I've seen them a couple times. What a convertible is basically it's a coaxial or a component, and you can convert. And usually, like what Lightning did was they would have you insert like a phase plug, and then you could unscrew the phase plug and then put in a tweeter and make it a coaxial. It's a really fun idea, but it just depends on the execution that you did for that. So this is the 4-inch, where dealer cost was, come on, focus. God damn it. Oh well, I'll just read it off to you. $60 for the 4-inch, $72 for the 5 1/4, and then 6 1/2 was $80. So, but and then I'll go briefly through this because we're already at 20 minutes. Bolt Series subwoofers. This was I found interesting was the Bolt Series subwoofers. $30 for a 10, $36 for a 12, and then only $45 for a 15. And I love those 15s. They do great in sealed boxes. They're great for home theater, things like that. Bolt Series coaxials, nobody gives a shit. The interconnects, the Storm Series, again, I don't. Oh yeah, this is the one for all the interconnects. The only thing I think I was interested in was the. Let's see, was the big caps. And again, I think it's just good to show you the dealer cost on these. They're Storm LA carbon caps, which is the super caps. So they got the 50 farad and the 100 farad, 50 farad, 100 farad. Very expensive, especially for that time. But at the time, the other one was, I don't think, is that in this catalog? The the Rockford version is called the CPSR, and then the Lightning Audio version is called the SSR 2002. And it's a SMD surface mount device, also known as DSM, discrete surface mount, version of the old SSR 200, which is a 200 amp battery isolator. It's a smart battery isolator. Basically has a voltage trigger inside that says, okay, does the primary battery finally reach, whatever it is, 13.4 or whatever it's set for, and then it goes, yes. Then it turns on, and then it charges your battery bank, your other battery bank. And it won't turn on until that. So, but you can do that now with a big relay and a little device from Amazon now. Let me see if I can find it. Capacitor accessories, I don't really care about that. The batteries, $200. The Storm one was $135. And all you're paying for is a digital monitor. And then the blue top ones were $142. SSR 2002, that's what I was doing. So I wrote 220, which I think that's what I was going to sell them for, but they were still, the cost on them was $189, which is quite a bit. And of course, nobody really imports them anymore, or makes them anymore, because the solenoid, you can get a 500 amp solenoid for fucking $50. So, and I actually met somebody that bought a Stinger branded solenoid for $365 from, what was they called? Slangen. Slangen was called something else. Oh, Chronic. They were called Chronic Car Audio. The dead skin damping mat. I don't know if you guys are interested in that. There's that. It's pretty cheap, but it's again, the shipping is what got you. P&R ports, which is the little flare ports that you guys all love. The 3-inch was $11. The 4-inch was $11, and then they made an 8-inch or a 6-inch version where you would you buy 25 flanges, and then they would give you the pipe, and then you cut it to size. Again, I'm not a fan of those arrow ports because they're too small for what you need. 16 square inches per cubic foot, that's a lot of volume. And so that's why the only one that makes any sense is the L port. It's integrated into the box. So, and it goes top to bottom and back to front. This is leftovers from when Lightning also made carpet and was selling carpet. They were selling carpet through the Lightning Audio brand, and then I think for a while Rockford sold it through Perfect Interface, and then there was another brand that they came out with that was their accessories division, and then the final version was the one I showed you, which was whatever, it doesn't matter anymore, they're dead. The phase detector, cooling fans, signal controllers, bass blockers. Of course, they can't call them bass blockers here, but they call them bass blockers in the catalog, so they can't call them bass blockers in the market. Primary wire, 3M taps. And this is when they geared up with the people, or I think the smart thing for 3M to do is to do a royalty thing. Like if you just meet certain specifications, then you can put 3M on there, and then you pay like a penny per whatever, per 100 to 3M, and then that way 3M doesn't have to do any work and they still get paid. That's the way to do it. Royalties. Do zero work, still get paid. Anyways, I love you guys. I will do 2003 tomorrow after I finish lunch. Love you guys. I got to get shipping, and I will talk to you more doing little videos.